Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something called Voto de Pobreza,
Voto de Pobreza.
which I'm sure some of our listeners are going, ooh. But before anyone thinks we're advocating for everyone to live in poverty, let me...
Yeah, let me jump in there.
Okay.
That's not it at all.
Okay.
It's more about mindful living.
Mindful living. Okay.
Yeah, a philosophy of mindful living.
Got it.
And this deep dive is based on 0119, Voto de Pobreza es pasado fonéticamente.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking at.
So the author of this piece is presenting Voto de Pobreza as like a conscious choice
Yeah.
for a simpler life, right?
Right.
Free from all that pressure we get from society and, just the expectation to always have excess.
It's about defining what enough means to you.
Enough, and then building a fulfilling life around that.
Exactly.
Not just about material things, but like a whole
way of life.
way of life.
It gets into finances, work, social interactions, even spirituality.
Okay, so this is a big one.
We're going deep today.
One of the things I found most fascinating was how the author connects Voto de Pobreza to what's happening in the world today.
Okay.
Like, he argues that we're entering this era of overproduction.
Overproduction.
Where we just have more stuff.
More stuff.
Than ever before.
Yeah.
And that's coupled with this possibility of decreasing work hours.
Oh, interesting.
As automation takes over.
So less work, more stuff.
Potentially, yeah.
So does that mean like we're all headed toward a life of leisure? Is that...
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But his point is that this makes mindful consumption even more crucial.
Oh, okay.
If we're producing more with less work, then our values around what we consume and why those become even more important.
Interesting.
It's like we need to recalibrate our whole system of values to fit this new reality.
Wow, I hadn't thought about it like that.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So how does Voto de Pobreza help us navigate this changing world?
Well, he outlines a couple key principles.
One is this focus on avoiding unnecessary spending.
Yeah.
And debt.
Debt.
Understanding the difference between what we need and what we simply want because society tells us to want it.
Yeah, like keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about questioning those societal norms.
Right.
That push us toward this work-centric life.
Work.
Where we're constantly striving for...
More, bigger.
More, bigger, better. And he's advocating for finding fulfillment outside of work and material possessions.
That already makes me feel a little less stressed.
Right.
But this all sounds very theoretical, right?
Yeah.
Does he give any concrete examples of
Fine.
what this actually looks like day to day?
Yeah, some of them are surprisingly relatable. Like he has this whole section on shoes.
Shoes, really?
Yeah.
I gotta hear this.
Okay, so it's not about wearing the cheapest shoes you can find.
Oh, okay.
But it's about choosing footwear that prioritizes comfort and practicality over brand names and these fleeting trends that we see.
Yeah.
He even suggests going barefoot whenever possible.
Going barefoot. Okay, so I can see where some people are going to be like,
right,
this is a little extreme.
Yeah.
But I get the underlying message.
Yeah.
It's about challenging those consumerist habits that we've all developed without even realizing it.
Exactly. Why are brand names so important to us?
Yeah.
What's that say about how we see ourselves?
Ooh, that's good.
And how we want others to see us.
That's a really good point. It's not just about shoes, is it?
Right.
It's like this whole system
and about the values
that we've built up
Yeah.
around material things.
Exactly.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, and this extends to other areas too.
Okay.
For example, minimizing social media presence
Okay.
and being more selective about social interactions.
That's a tough one, I'll be honest, in today's world.
Especially today.
Yeah.
But he argues that constantly being plugged in can detract from living a meaningful life.
Interesting.
So it's about reclaiming our time and energy for things that genuinely enrich us.
Okay.
Instead of chasing likes and online validation.
So it's not like he's saying become a hermit.
No.
Shut out the world.
No.
It's more like be intentional.
Be intentional.
In how you engage.
Exactly.
Okay.
Setting boundaries and making conscious choices.
I like that.
About where we invest our time and energy.
So what truly matters to me? That's the question.
Yeah, what matters to you?
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see how this concept can be applied to so many different areas of life.
Yeah.
What about health?
Okay.
Does this mean neglecting healthcare?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
It's not about rejecting modern medicine.
Okay.
But emphasizing a balanced lifestyle.
Okay.
Allowing your body to heal naturally
Back road.
whenever possible.
Yeah.
Considering simple remedies alongside conventional treatments.
So like listening to your body.
Yes.
Maybe not always jumping to like the most expensive or the most complicated solution.
Complicated, exactly.
Yeah, like a holistic approach.
Precisely.
Okay.
Recognizing our health is influenced by a multitude of factors, not just the latest medical technology.
Okay.
And empowering ourselves to take an active role in maintaining our well-being.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to life here.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the what of Voto de Pobreza.
Yeah.
What about the why?
The why.
Like, what's the motivation behind choosing this?
Well, he digs into that.
Okay.
And it gets really interesting when he starts talking about how this philosophy extends beyond personal choices.
Oh.
Like he suggests that it has this broader social and political
dimension. Right. Okay, now we're getting into some uncharted territory here.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that?
Essentially, he's advocating for a shift in power.
Okay.
He believes we should prioritize people over governments.
Over governments.
And institutions.
Oh.
And he encourages people to think critically about the rules.
Yeah.
And expectations imposed by society.
Okay.
And only comply with those that align with their personal values.
So it's about challenging the status quo.
Absolutely.
And promoting individual responsibility.
Yes.
Okay.
He wants people to be active participants.
Yeah.
In shaping their lives and their communities.
Yeah.
Rather than blindly following the dictates of authority.
Okay. So empowering the individual.
Exactly.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Yeah.
There's a lot to process, but it's fascinating.
What?
So he's presenting like a whole new way of thinking.
It's a whole new way of thinking.
About our place in the world.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the most compelling aspects of his writing is how he weaves in his own personal journey toward embracing this lifestyle.
I was just getting to that.
Oh, yeah.
The story about his friend Tiger really stuck with me.
Right.
Can you remind our listener about him?
Of course. Tiger was a friend of the author.
Yeah.
A homeless friend.
Homeless friend.
Who chose to live in his car.
Oh.
Despite owning beachfront property.
See, that's a paradox.
It is a paradox.
You think someone with that kind of wealth would be living a really different life? A very different life.
Right.
Yeah.
But he found value in discarded objects.
Interesting.
And rejected a lot of the norms that we just take for granted.
So like a real example of how our assumptions about what makes a good life can be completely wrong.
Upended.
Upended.
Yeah.
What impact did Tiger have on the author?
Well, this encounter was a catalyst for the author's shift in perspective.
Oh, wow.
It led him to question everything he thought he knew.
Wow.
About success, happiness, and what truly matters in life.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah. And that was the spark that ignited his exploration of Voto de Pobreza.
Wow. It's amazing how encountering someone who lives so differently can have such a profound impact.
It is.
So we've covered a lot of ground from the personal to the political. And Voto de Pobreza, it's about much more than just material possessions.
It's a philosophy.
This deep dive's given me a lot to think about.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
We have. There's so much more to unpack.
There's so much more to unpack.
About how it can apply to different areas of our lives.
Let's dive into that after a quick...
Let's just keep going.
Okay.
I'm too excited.
Okay. I like it.
To stop now.
Let's do it.
So where should we head next on this journey of Voto de Pobreza?
Perfect. I was hoping you'd say that. Let's see how this concept plays out in like areas like education, religion... Yeah. And even family relationships.
Oh, interesting.
Buckle up, listener, because things are about to get even more interesting.
That's right.
All right, so we talked about shoes and social media, but the author actually goes even deeper into how Voto de Pobreza can be applied to different areas of life.
Oh, yeah.
Like one that really surprised me was education.
Yeah.
Education. How does that even work?
Well, it's fascinating. He suggests that applying Voto de Pobreza to education means moving away from traditional rigid teaching methods that a lot of us are used to. And instead, it's about creating the right conditions for people to learn independently and to really embrace curiosity.
So less about memorizing facts and more about fostering a genuine love of learning.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about encouraging exploration and critical thinking.
Yeah.
And he really emphasizes that mistakes shouldn't be punished, but seen as valuable learning opportunities.
That's a pretty big shift from how I think a lot of education systems operate today.
Yeah.
So what would that actually look like?
Well, imagine a classroom where students are encouraged to pursue their own interests,
Okay.
to ask questions, to experiment,
Yeah.
to learn from their failures.
Okay.
The teacher's role becomes more of a facilitator,
Okay.
guiding students' exploration rather than dictating what they should learn.
So it sounds a lot like unschooling or self-directed learning, where
Absolutely.
the student kind of takes ownership
Right.
of their education.
It's about empowering individuals to take charge of their own learning journey,
Okay.
discover their own passions,
Okay.
which aligns perfectly with the overall theme of Voto de Pobreza,
Right.
promoting individual agency,
Yeah.
challenging these top-down structures
Yeah.
that often limit our potential.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this can be applied in a more practical way.
Yeah.
So what other areas does the author kind of delve into?
Well, he even applies the principles of Voto de Pobreza to religion.
Religion. Okay, now this should be interesting. I'm
Yeah.
curious to hear how that works.
He encourages a more personal
Okay.
and independent approach to spirituality.
Okay.
So it's about finding your own path
Yeah.
rather than blindly following dogma
That's
or
right.
depending on institutions.
So not necessarily rejecting religion,
No.
but finding a more
Yeah,
authentic.
for a melodic connection.
Right.
And he cautions against blindly contributing financially
Oh, okay.
to organized religion
Okay.
and encourages skepticism
Okay.
towards those who preach one thing,
Yeah.
but don't live by those same principles.
So aligning your actions with your beliefs, which is a core tenet
Yes,
of Voto de Pobreza in general.
it is.
What about relationships?
Yes.
How does that play out with family and friends?
Well, his approach there is pretty simple.
Okay.
He advocates for genuine connection
Okay.
and mutual support
Okay.
without unnecessary drama or conflict,
Okay.
keeping things simple and healthy,
Okay.
letting go of material expectations in relationships.
So valuing the people in our lives for who they are,
Exactly.
not for what they can give us.
Not for what they can give us materially,
materially, yeah.
fostering authentic connections based on respect and understanding,
Okay.
rather than those societal pressures
Yeah.
that often complicate relationships.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Aligns with this idea of simplifying, focusing on what really matters.
exactly.
We've talked about Voto de Pobreza in these specific areas like education,
Yeah.
religion, relationships, but the author also keeps circling back
Yes.
to how this connects to the bigger picture,
The real world,
the real world,
as he calls it.
as he calls it.
Yeah.
And that's where I think his ideas become even more compelling.
Yeah.
Because he argues that we are on the cusp
Yes.
of this major societal shift
Yeah.
driven by all these technological advancements,
I love technology.
like automation and AI.
Yeah.
I mean, he touched on this earlier, right?
He did.
With the overproduction and potentially shorter working hours in the future.
That's right.
But he really believes these trends could
Yeah.
lead to a world where material abundance is more common.
Uh-huh.
And that traditional model of working long hours
Yeah.
to acquire more stuff might just become obsolete.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really
It's a big idea.
big idea.
Yeah.
So how does Voto de Pobreza fit into this evolving world?
Well, he sees it as a way to prepare for this new reality
Okay.
by adopting a more mindful approach to consumption,
Yeah.
finding fulfillment outside of material possessions.
Yeah.
We become less dependent on the traditional economic system,
Okay.
right? So we become more adaptable and resilient
Okay.
in the face of change.
So it's like he's saying that by detaching ourselves
Yeah.
from this need for constant acquisition,
Yes.
we free ourselves up
Yes.
to pursue other things.
That's right.
Like creativity.
Creativity, connection, purpose.
Purpose. Yeah, those are things you can't just buy.
No, you can't.
And those are the things Voto de Pobreza encourages us to focus on.
Right.
It's about stepping back from that constant striving for more
Yeah.
and asking what truly brings meaning and fulfillment to our lives.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really provocative idea.
It is. It is. What if the key to thriving in this new world isn't about working harder to earn more,
Yeah,
but about redefining our relationship with work and consumption altogether?
that's a pretty radical shift.
It is.
Hidden thinking.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so fascinating to explore.
Yeah.
It pushes us to question the status quo
Yeah.
and consider alternative ways
Yeah.
of living and organizing our world.
Now, it's one thing to talk about challenging the status quo.
Yeah.
But he takes it a step further when he starts talking about, like, the political implications
Yes.
of Voto de Pobreza.
Yeah, this is where his ideas get really thought-provoking.
Yeah, so he encourages skepticism towards traditional power structures and calls for minimal compliance
Yes.
with rules that don't align with one's conscience. So a more decentralized, people-centered approach to governance.
That's right.
Individuals should have more autonomy
Yes.
and power
More power.
over their own lives and communities.
Yeah, he even suggests that sometimes the most powerful act of political engagement
Oh, wow.
is choosing not to vote.
Really?
At all.
Okay.
If the system doesn't represent your values.
That's definitely a controversial stance. But it speaks to his belief in individual agency.
Yes.
And the right to dissent.
Absolutely.
So he's not saying everyone should become an anarchist
Right.
or withdraw from society completely.
No.
But it's about being a conscious and critical participant in the systems that govern our lives.
That's right.
Holding those systems accountable and pushing for change when they don't serve the needs of the people.
Exactly.
This concept of voto de pobreza, it's starting to feel less like a set of rules and more like a framework for navigating
That's a great way to put it.
a world that's constantly evolving.
It is.
It's a set of principles
Yes.
that can guide our choices and help us live
Help us live more intentionally.
more intentionally, regardless of the circumstances
Regardless of the circumstances.
we find ourselves. But let's be realistic. Putting these principles into practice can't be easy.
Yeah.
Does he offer any guidance?
Well, he doesn't lay out a step-by-step plan. And I think that's intentional.
Okay.
He emphasizes this is a highly personal journey.
Yeah.
And what voto de pobreza looks like for one person,
Yeah.
it's going to be different for another.
So it's not about following a rigid set of rules,
Well,
but finding what works for you
that's right.
in your own circumstances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So examining your own values, questioning your assumptions,
Yeah.
making cautious choices that align with what truly matters to you.
And he seems to acknowledge
He does.
that he's still on his own journey of discovery.
He is.
Because he mentions like revisiting and refining his understanding of this in the future.
Yes. And I find that really refreshing.
Yeah.
It shows humility and a willingness to continuously learn and adapt.
Yeah.
He's not presenting himself as having all the answers.
Right.
He's inviting us
Yeah.
to join him on this journey of exploration and self-discovery.
Speaking of journeys,
Yes.
we can't forget about the profound impact his friend Tiger had on his thinking.
Right.
It's amazing how one encounter can just totally shift your whole
His
perspective.
perspective on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it reminds us to be open.
Yeah.
To be open to learning from those who live differently.
Yeah.
To challenge our own assumptions about
Fully.
what a good life is.
That's right.
Tiger's story is such a powerful example
It is.
of how voto de pobreza isn't about deprivation or hardship.
No.
It's about finding freedom
Freedom.
and fulfillment
And fulfillment.
in a way that aligns with your own values,
That's right.
regardless of your material circumstances.
Absolutely.
So true wealth isn't measured by possessions,
No.
but by the richness of our experiences,
That's right.
our relationships, and our contributions to the world.
To the world.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
I know. It's amazing.
From shoes to social media,
I know.
from education to politics.
It's a lot.
Voto de pobreza, it's multifaceted. Yeah.
Thought-provoking concept.
And we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
Yeah. I'm already feeling inspired
Me
to
too.
reevaluate my own life.
Yeah.
Consider how I can apply some of these principles.
Yeah.
But before we go too far down that road,
Yeah.
let's take a moment to reflect
Okay.
on what we've learned so far.
That's a great idea. Let's distill some key takeaways and consider what this means for our listener.
So we've really explored a lot of different facets of this voto de pobreza.
We have.
From shoes to social media education, even politics.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It touches on everything.
Yeah. And I think what's so fascinating is how it connects those individual choices
Yeah.
to these big changes that are happening in the world.
Yeah.
He's saying voto de pobreza isn't just a personal lifestyle choice. It's a response to or a way of preparing for a future that's going to look very different
Different from what we know.
from what we know. Yeah.
So it's like simplifying our lives now.
Prioritizing those experiences and connections over accumulating things.
Yeah.
We're building resilience
That's right.
for the future.
Yeah, for whatever comes next.
Whatever comes next.
Because if these trends, like automation overproduction and maybe shorter working hours,
Yeah.
if those continue,
Yeah.
our values around work and consumption,
They're going to have to change.
they're going to have to evolve
Yeah.
what we consider success
Or a good life.
or a good life.
Could look totally different.
Totally different.
So Voto de Pobreza offers this framework
It
for
does.
navigating that.
That shift, yeah.
Think about his friend Tiger choosing to live simply despite having wealth.
Right. It challenges our assumptions
It does.
about more always being better.
Yeah, yeah.
So in a world of abundance,
Yeah.
maybe the most valuable things
What are they?
will be time connection and a sense of purpose that goes beyond just acquiring things.
Things you can't buy.
You can't buy them.
And those are the things that Voto de Pobreza
It encourages us to focus on those things.
focus on.
Yeah, to step back from that constant striving
Striving for more.
for more and ask ourselves what truly brings us meaning
Meaning
and
yeah.
fulfillment.
I mean, honestly, this whole deep dive has really made me stop and think about my own life.
Me too.
Am I chasing things that don't really matter?
Right.
Am I missing out on experiences because I'm too caught up in the daily grind?
It's so easy to get swept up in those societal expectations.
It is.
But his point isn't that we all need to become minimalists overnight.
Right.
It's more about being mindful,
Mindful, yeah.
making conscious choices that align with our values.
So what would that look like for our listener?
Well, I think it starts with asking yourself some tough questions.
Okay, like what?
Well, where in your life do you feel that pressure to have more,
Yeah.
to be more?
Could be more, yeah.
Are there areas where you're spending time or money
Yeah.
on things that don't actually bring you joy?
Okay, so then how do you break free from those patterns?
Well, it's about taking small steps.
Small steps, okay.
Maybe it's decluttering your home,
Okay.
cutting back on unnecessary spending.
Being more intentional with your time.
Yes, prioritizing experiences
over.
over material possessions.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's saying no to commitments that drain your energy.
Or disconnecting from social media
Yes,
to reconnect with yourself
the
and
people you care about.
the people you care about.
It's about finding your own version of Voto de Pobreza.
Your own version.
It's not about deprivation.
Okay.
It's about freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom from those external pressures that tell us who we should be,
Yeah.
what we should have.
And what we should have.
It's about claiming your own definition
Your own definition.
of a meaningful life.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so empowering.
It is.
So maybe the real question isn't, can I live with less?
Right.
But can I live better with less?
That's the question.
That's the question.
And that's the question we'll leave you with today.
Okay.
What would your life look like if you embraced the principles of Voto de Pobreza,
Yeah.
even in a small way?
Even in a small way.
What would you gain?
What would you gain?
What would you let go of?
That is a powerful thought to ponder.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Voto de Pobreza.
Yes, thank you.
We hope it sparked some new ideas.
Yeah.
And inspired you to examine your own life.
With fresh eyes.
With fresh eyes.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning,
Keep questioning.
and keep diving deep.
And keep diving deep.